ever get that feeling like, someone's reading over your shoulder? Kind of creepy, right?
Yeah.
But now imagine it's not some like nosy stranger, but a quantum computer just sifting through all your stuff, your emails, bank transactions, everything.
Right.
And that's the future that NIST, or the National Institute of Standards and Technology, is trying to like completely head off with some really, really cutting-edge encryption standards.
Yeah, you're right. It really does sound like we're stepping straight into a sci-fi thriller.
I don't know.
But what's really captivating here is that this isn't some like far-off, distant threat. We're talking about like a cybersecurity shift that's happening right now.
Right.
And luckily for us, NIST just gave us the tools we need to lock our digital doors against those quantum snoops.
Yeah, and to really break all of this down, we're diving deep into two really fascinating sources.
Yep.
The first is a NIST newsletter that actually just announced these brand new encryption standards.
Right.
And then the second is a really thought-provoking article by tech governance expert Vivek Vaidyanathan.
Yeah, and these sources don't hold back either. They go straight to the heart of why these standards are so crucial. And it really all boils down to the way that quantum computing could completely like upend our current cybersecurity measures.
Okay, so let's unpack that for a second. For those of us who didn't like pick up quantum physics in our spare time,
right.
What's the big deal here?
So imagine like trying to crack a code that's so complex, it would take a normal computer like billions of years to decipher.
Okay.
A quantum computer could potentially do it in minutes. Oh, wow.
Like, it's just a whole different ballgame in terms of processing power.
Yeah, that's not just a slightly faster computer. That's like a total game changer.
Exactly. And all those codes that seemed unbreakable before,
suddenly
they're vulnerable.
Right.
And that's the kind of threat that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Like, our current encryption methods, things like RSA and ECC, which secure everything, like literally everything from online banking to personal messages, they could just become obsolete.
So it's like someone handed us this whole new, ridiculously advanced lock.
Yes.
But also gave someone else a master key that can open any lock instantly.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
Okay.
And that's where NIST enters the scene.
Okay.
For the past 8 years, they've been gathering like the best minds in cryptography worldwide.
Wow. Almost like assembling a cybersecurity justice league to develop algorithms that can withstand these quantum attacks.
Right.
And the best part, these standards are ready to be used today.
Okay, so after 8 years of anticipation, NIST has finally delivered these like groundbreaking standards.
Yeah, yes.
What exactly are they and how do they actually work?
Okay, so they've finalized 3 and they have a 4th one on the way.
Okay.
But think of them as like these high-tech shields, each one designed for a specific purpose in the digital world.
Okay.
So the first one, FIPS 203, uses an algorithm called Crystal's Kyber.
Okay.
Now imagine sending a message so secure that even if someone intercepts it, it's just like completely unreadable to them.
Wow.
It's like it's written in an alien language that they just can't decipher.
Right.
That's the power of FIPS 203.
That's wild. So it's like sending a message in a language that only you and the recipient understand, even if someone's like right there eavesdropping.
Right.
What about the other standards?
Okay, so the next one is FIPS 204, which uses the crystals dilithium algorithm.
Okay.
This one tackles digital signatures.
Okay.
So you know how you get those emails where you can verify it's really from, like, say, Amazon and not a scammer?
Right, right.
FIPS 204 ensures that those signatures are, like, rock solid.
Okay.
Even against those quantum attacks.
Oh, wow.
So no more falling for those phishing scams.
So if FIPS 203 is like an unbreakable code, then FIPS 204 is like an unforgeable signature.
Right.
What about the third one?
Okay, so FIPS 205, which uses the Sphinx algorithm, is like having a backup generator.
Okay.
It's an alternative method for digital signatures, just in case someone actually finds a chink in the armor of the primary method.
Always good to have a backup plan.
Right.
Now, I heard there's a 4th standard in the works.
Yes.
What's the deal with that?
Yeah, so NIST is working on FIPS 206.
Okay.
Which uses the Falcon algorithm.
Okay.
And it's like they're saying, hey, we're taking this quantum threat seriously, so here's another layer of protection just to be extra safe.
So NIST is pulling out all the stops to make sure that we're ready for this quantum future. And maybe this is a silly question.
Sure.
Why do we need like global standards for this?
Yeah.
Can't each country or even each company just kind of do their own thing?
That's a great question. And it gets to the heart of a lot of cybersecurity challenges.
Okay.
These standards from NIST aren't like suggestions.
Right.
They're globally recognized.
Okay.
And that's so important in cybersecurity because it's like establishing a common language.
Right.
Everyone can understand it. Everyone can use it.
Right.
Without these standards, we risk this like fragmented digital landscape where systems can't talk to each other effectively.
Right.
And it leaves us all much more vulnerable.
It makes sense. You can't exactly build a secure digital world if everyone is speaking a different language.
Exactly.
So how does this impact the average person?
Yeah.
Are we talking like tangible changes in our everyday digital lives?
That's where Vivek Vaidyanathan's insights in his article become really, really relevant because he dives into the real world implications for industries that handle tons and tons of really sensitive information. We're talking like finance, healthcare, government.
Industries where a breach could be catastrophic.
Exactly.
Okay, let's dive into those examples. What does this actually look like in practice? So we're talking about like preventing quantum bank heists.
Right.
That sounds like, I don't know, something straight out of a heist movie.
It does.
Only it's like our digital lives are on the line.
Yeah, it's a perfect example because Vaidyanathan really paints a very clear picture in his article.
Okay.
Right now, banks rely on encryption to secure, all your online transactions.
Right.
But imagine a quantum computer that's capable of breaking through those safeguards in seconds.
Oh, wow.
Suddenly, transferring money, paying bills, even just accessing your account becomes incredibly vulnerable.
Talk about a financial meltdown.
Yeah.
So are we talking about like the collapse of the financial system as we know it?
Well, I don't think it's not about fear-mongering, right?
Right.
It's about understanding the magnitude of the potential risk if we just don't adapt.
Okay.
What about healthcare?
Healthcare is another great example.
Okay.
We're talking medical records, genomic data, all this information that needs to remain confidential for decades.
Right.
Not just years.
Yeah.
So quantum-resistant encryption basically guarantees that even as technology changes and evolves, that patient privacy is still protected long term.
So it's about building systems today that are future-proof.
Safeguarding that information even as the technology to potentially crack it emerges.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What about government?
Yeah.
What role do these standards play in, like national security?
So in a world that's increasingly reliant on these interconnected systems, governments are prime targets for these cyber attacks. We're talking about protecting state secrets, critical infrastructure, intelligence operations, all that stuff. Quantum-resistant encryption is adding this crucial layer of defense against what essentially amounts to quantum espionage. It ensures that sensitive information remains secure even as technology gets better and better.
So we're not just talking about preventing identity theft or storing credit card numbers.
Sure.
We're talking about safeguarding national security on a global scale.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And that's why these new standards are so critical. It's like a race against time.
Okay.
As quantum computing technology gets more advanced, we have to make sure that our digital defenses are even further ahead.
Okay. This all makes sense, but let's be realistic for a second.
Sure.
Upgrading an entire country's digital infrastructure to be quantum resistant sounds like a monumental task.
It is a massive undertaking. And Vaidyanathan actually uses a really great analogy in his article.
Okay.
He compares it to changing the engines of an airplane mid-flight.
Oh, wow.
Which is it's complex, it's risky, it requires a ton of planning.
So how do we even begin to tackle this? It's not like we can just hit a pause button on the digital world while we make these upgrades.
Exactly. And that's why early adoption is crucial.
Right.
The longer we wait, the more vulnerable we become.
Right.
We have to start transitioning to these quantum-resistant algorithms now.
Okay.
And both the NIST newsletter and Vaidyanathan's article really stress this isn't a wait-and-see situation.
So what needs to happen? Where do we even begin with a task this massive?
Well, it requires a kind of a multi-pronged approach.
Right.
Governments need to invest in research and development.
Okay.
They need to incentivize early adoption in both the public and private sectors. And they also have to develop these comprehensive cybersecurity strategies that specifically address this quantum threat.
It also sounds like we're going to need like a whole new generation of cybersecurity professionals
Yeah.
who are fluent in this, like next generation encryption.
Right.
That means education and training is going to be crucial, right?
Absolutely. We've got to equip the next generation of cybersecurity experts with the knowledge and tools they need to navigate this evolving threat landscape. That means universities and institutions need to start incorporating post-quantum cryptography into what they're teaching.
Right.
And we have to support these ongoing training and development programs for the professionals that are already out there in the field.
This is where those global standards that we talked about earlier become even more vital.
Exactly.
Right. So by establishing this common framework, NIST has created a roadmap for everyone to follow.
Exactly. Having these globally recognized standards just ensures that everyone's on the same page, that we're all working towards that same common goal.
Right.
It lets systems talk to each other, it streamlines development,
Right.
and it really strengthens that international collaboration that we need to combat this shared threat.
It's like we're building a global cybersecurity network.
Yes.
And these standards are the common language that lets all the different parts communicate and work together.
Exactly. It's about creating this united front against this emerging threat.
Okay.
And that brings up another really important point, the risk of fragmentation.
What do you mean by fragmentation?
So Vaidyanathan talks about this in his article.
Okay.
He argues that if different countries, different organizations, if everyone just goes their own way and adopts different standards, it could create a really fractured digital landscape.
So instead of one secure, interconnected world, we end up with a bunch of incompatible systems.
Yes.
Each with its own vulnerabilities.
Exactly. It's like building a digital Tower of Babel, where no one can understand each other's encryption languages. It creates confusion, it weakens security, and it makes it way harder to combat cyber threats effectively.
So cooperation and coordination are key here.
Absolutely.
Not just within countries, but globally.
On a global scale, this is a global challenge that requires a global solution. We need to break down these silos, we have to foster these international collaborations and work towards the shared vision of a secure digital future.
It's almost like we're at a crossroads. Right now, right? You can either choose like the path of fragmentation, where everyone just kind of fends for themselves. Or we can choose the path of cooperation. Where we work together to build a safer and more resilient digital world.
And the decisions we make today are going to have lasting consequences. It's about being proactive, not reactive. It's about embracing these new standards, investing in the future, and making sure that our digital world is completely prepared for this quantum revolution.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've talked about the threat, the solution, the challenges ahead. But let's zoom out for a moment.
Okay.
What does a quantum safe world actually look like? How will our lives actually be different?
So in a lot of ways, a successful transition to quantum-resistant encryption will be invisible to the average person. You'll still send your emails, you'll still shop online, you can still access your bank accounts, all the things you do today.
So what's the big deal then? If everything looks and feels the same, why go through all this trouble?
It's about the confidence, the peace of mind that comes with knowing that your data, your privacy, your security, it's all protected by the most advanced encryption technology available.
It's like having one of those like really good bodyguards. Like you never actually see them. But you just know that they're always there keeping you safe.
Yeah, exactly. It's that peace of mind knowing that everything you do online, all your information, your digital life, it's all protected. That it's protected by technology that's designed to like stay ahead of even the most sophisticated threats.
So no more like constantly changing passwords or worrying about those data breaches.
Exactly.
You don't have to wonder if your information is actually safe. It just is.
That's the goal. Think of it this way. Right now, we're constantly playing catch up. We create a safeguard. Then a new threat pops up, and then we got to patch it up. Quantum-resistant encryption is about getting ahead of the curve. It's about building those systems that are like designed to be resilient. Even as technology keeps advancing at this like insane pace.
It's about peace of mind, not just for like us as individuals, but for like entire industries.
Absolutely.
Think back to like the healthcare industry, right? Imagine a world where hospitals can just focus on like treating patients.
Yeah.
Instead of always worrying about some ransomware attack that could like cripple their entire system.
Exactly.
And compromise all those medical records.
And it's not just healthcare.
Yeah.
Think about businesses big and small.
Okay.
They're spending like tons of money and resources on cybersecurity right now.
Right.
Just trying to stay like one step ahead of the hackers.
Right.
In a quantum safe world, all those resources, they get freed up.
Yeah.
They can focus on innovation, on growth, on creating new opportunities.
It's almost like quantum resistant encryption isn't just about like preventing bad things from happening.
Right.
It's also about making way for like actual progress.
Exactly. It's about fostering this environment of trust
Right.
and confidence in the digital realm. When we're not constantly worried about the security of our data and all of our online interactions, it opens up like a world of possibilities.
Okay.
It lets us embrace new technologies, explore new frontiers, and connect with each other in much more meaningful ways.
It's like we're shifting from this like mindset of fear and vulnerability to a mindset of like opportunity and innovation.
Exactly. It's about shaping the future of the internet and honestly like our world in a way that puts security first, that puts trust first, and really focuses on just boundless possibilities.
That's a really powerful vision for the future.
Yeah.
So as we kind of start to wrap up our deep dive into the world of quantum cryptography here, what's like the key takeaway, the one thing you want our listeners to really remember from all of this?
I think the biggest thing is just remembering that this quantum revolution is coming.
Okay.
And it has the potential to be like really disruptive, but also really transformative. And the choices that we make today are going to determine whether we kind of harness all that power for good, or if we just find ourselves vulnerable to all of its risks. But by embracing these new standards, by working together to actually build that secure and resilient digital infrastructure, we can unlock a future where technology really empowers us, where it connects us, and where it ultimately protects us all.
It's an invitation to kind of be a part of something so much bigger than ourselves. To contribute to building a safer, more secure digital future.
Absolutely.
And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive. But this conversation, it doesn't have to end here. If our world is really on the brink of this massive technological shift, what other parts of our lives might quantum computing completely revolutionize in the years to come? That's definitely something to think about.
Thanks for joining us as we all navigate this exciting, always changing digital age.